Hello, thank you for joining us on CoreTV News this hour. I am Nithame Oguntoye. Boko Haram's leader, Abubakar Shekau, was threatening to attack the emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi, in a newly released video. The video was said to have been released last weekend, but only emerged online in the last 24 hours. The 20-minute footage, which is now posted online, shows a man who claimed to be Shekau, speaking in Arabic, Hausa, and Kanuri languages. He specifically condemned Sanusi for calling on Nigerians to defend themselves against the insurgents at a prayer meeting in Kano. The mosque where he delivered the anti-Boko Haram message was attacked almost exactly 1 week later. Shekau described Sanusi as a fake Muslim and threatened that he would be attacked. He, however, did not mention the gun and bomb attack on the Kano Central Mosque, so it's not clear whether the video was released before or after the attack that killed at least 100 people. The Cameroonian army has issued a statement saying its troops had killed 116 Nigerian fighters from the Islamist Boko Haram group in the North. The insurgents attacked on the army base in Amchide on the border with Nigeria on Wednesday, but soldiers repelled them, inflicting heavy losses, the defense ministry said. A column made up of a military truck and 4 pickups from the Rapid Intervention Battalion were caught in an ambush that began with an explosion of a roadside bomb, according to the army. At the same time, the Amchid military base was attacked by hundreds of fighters from the sect, but the response from the defense forces was instant and appropriate, according to the statement. The report says there are 116 of the assailants dead on Cameroonian territory and undetermined casualties on the Nigerian territory from the Cameroonian artillery fire, and 1 dead and 1 officer missing on the Cameroonian side. According to the army, the Boko Haram fighters destroyed a pickup and a troop truck, as well as managing to capture another military truck. Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade has boldly declared again that Nigeria is winning the war against insurgency in spite of the continued activities of Boko Haram in the northeast. He cited the situation in Mubi, one of the towns initially seized by the insurgents, but now under the control of Nigerian security forces. Bade spoke to State House correspondents shortly after leading security chiefs to a breakfast session with President Goodluck Jonathan.
Of course, we are aware of the security situation in the country, and the president thought it fit to call us this morning for us to come and brief him about the current situation of things. And that's what we have done. We have told the president exactly where we are and our future plans. But as you know, we can't talk about our future plans because that would be now telling the enemy what we are doing. I think we'll just leave it at that.
Yes, the SSS arrested some group of people who they said they were the fake negotiators. We know that once you told us that the government, there was a truce, between government and the Boko Haram people. And this turned out to be fake negotiators. So what's your comment on this?
Well, it's better not to discuss those things. SSS is on it. They are doing their own investigations, and when they finish, they started with the briefing yesterday. They have told you exactly what they are doing. I think we better just leave SSS to handle that one, and they will tell the nation exactly what is happening.
Can we really say we are winning this war, sir?
We are certainly not losing it. We are winning the war. Don't worry. Nigerians should have faith in their military. The nation will win this war.
Life is returning to Mubi now. Where do you take off from here? I mean, the way people are coming back, the emir, everybody is returning to. Where are you taking off from there?
Well, they have gone back. Life is back to normal in Mubi. Life is back to normal everywhere around that place. And we are liberating more and more communities, and people are moving in. Life is running back to normal gradually.
2015 election is
it will hold. It will hold. Don't worry.
It will hold.
It will hold.
What are you doing about the problem of fifth columnists?
Don't worry. The military is handling fifth columnists in its own way. Okay.
Thank you very much. Best of luck, sir.
All right.
Meanwhile, a military court-martial has sentenced 54 soldiers to death after they were found guilty of mutiny. This is the second set of soldiers to be convicted since war against insurgency began in the northeast. The soldiers, who were mostly privates, were found guilty on a 2-count charge of criminal conspiracy to commit mutiny, but 4 of them were acquitted. They were alleged to have disobeyed orders to join a military operation against the Boko Haram while serving at the 7th Division of the Nigerian Army in Maiduguri. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Atahiru Jaga, has called for the deployment of unarmed security personnel during the 2015 general elections across the country. He says the commission has enjoyed a remarkable increase in the area of electoral policing during the last governorship elections in some states. Jaga is also keen on reassuring Nigerians that discussions are ongoing on measures to be adopted for internally displaced persons in the Northeast to cast their votes. The INEC chairman was speaking at the pre-election program organized by the police in Abuja. We'll take a break now and I'll be back with more stories if you stay with me.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back. You can also get all of our top stories on any of our social media platforms. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/CoreTV News. Our Twitter handle is at CoreTV News NG. And we're streaming live on YouTube at youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space and news. After much speculation, presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress has announced Professor Yemi Osinbajo as his running mate for the 2015 presidential elections. In justifying his choice, Buhari described the senior advocate of Nigeria as a man of integrity and a role model. Several party leaders attended the press briefing in Abuja, where Osinbajo was named as Buhari's running mate.
To assist me in this great task of securing Nigeria's future, I have chosen a man of impeachable integrity, an excellent professional, a man of faith, a devoted family man, and a role model to our fellow countrymen and women. I present Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who by the grace of God and the vote of Nigerians will be the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I accept the nomination gladly and happily, and I'm honored to work with General Buhari, who everyone knows, even his detractors know, that he is an upright, honest man who is fiercely committed to good governance. And I believe that it will be a special privilege to work with him.
Meanwhile, national leader of the APC, Bola Tinubu, says he was given the option of becoming the running mate of Muhammadu Buhari, the party's presidential candidate, but he turned it down in national interest. In a statement issued on Wednesday, he says he was moved about Buhari's offer as a human being, but he had to look at the larger picture in view of the Muslim ticket controversy. There came a time during the course of the events when our presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari offered the vice presidential slot to me. Being a normal human being, I was deeply moved and honored that he would consider me for the position. Being a patriot, however, I had to weigh my potential candidacy in all of its dimensions, he said. For many years, the Nigerian media have been sold on a wild goose chase in the correct spelling of one man's name, a prominent Nigerian for that matter. And it was not until now that it dawned on the entire media that we've been fooled in the same direction. Probably a course of the annual Spelling Bee competition, ironically put together by a wife of a leading opposition figure for students of primary and secondary schools in Lagos, would have since undone this great damage. But why was the person concerned rather, never thought of correcting this anomaly? The CoreTV News was thrown into a mild drama yesterday over the development. The rest is the story in this report.
CoreTV News librarian Bankole Ajibade and producer of the station's breakfast show, Emmanuel Ajayi, had stumbled on what has turned out to be the correct name of the APC vice presidential candidate, Yemi Osinbajo, and quickly brought it to the attention of the news production desk. It became a subject of arguments because it did not sink in on time. A check on the man's Twitter handle was to later change the arguments in favor of the two. A peep into Nigeria's independent online newspaper, The Cable, again brought the issue to bear and finally laid it to bed. According to The Cable, the APC vice presidential candidate is so relatively new to the public eye that the media don't even know his correct surname. The media in Nigeria know him as Yemi, quite alright, but is it Yemi Osinbajo? His name has been misspelled by the media for the past 15 years, and there is no indication that he has ever tried to correct it. Self-effacing and relatively new to the political fray, indeed, there are not many pictures to choose from when you Google his name. To his credit, though all searches for Osinbajo or Osinbajo lead to the same person, some consolation there according to The Cable. The Punch has been alternating between Osinbajo and Osinbajo. CoreTV News, TVC, Channels Television, This Day, PM News, The Cable and Premium Times, to name but those few, seem fascinated with Osinbajo. Why Nigeria wrote Osinbajo in one headline and Osinbajo towards the end of the story. The nation, which should know him very well, is sure it is Osinbajo. To know more about him, here are a few facts on the intellectual and public speaker. His name is Yemi Osinbajo. Memorize it because you may need it later. Osinbajo, that is 8-letter words. The Cable says it has been obsessed with Osinbajo for no known reason. But this erratum, according to the online newspaper, should call its editors to order henceforth. We mean to also add here that all Nigerian journalists should henceforth take this into consideration. The meaning of his name is not easily accessible to the younger Yoruba generation. All they will tell you is that Oshin is a water bird and Aju is a journey. Now to connect the two and make sense out of it is left to the older generation. The Cable refuses to hazard a meaning, but Osinbajo's well-wishers will certainly hope his journey to Asura could be as smooth as Oshin sailing on water. In his native Ijebu, one of the oldest and most distant dialects of the Yoruba language, Oshin could also refer to a child, and Osinbajo, Oshinbo láti àjò, could then be interpreted to mean a child has returned from a journey, a good sign that all went well. In that case, his well-wishers will be hoping that his journey into politics will be worth the while, and he will have every reason to rejoice when he ends his national service. We at CoreTV joined The Cable and the rest of the nation's media to hope Osinbajo himself will take time when he's less busy to explain the meaning of his name to us for our education. Everybody who got it wrong should, however, be forgiven. Osinbajo is but a new kid on the block. He has been limited to the intellectual and ecclesiastical circles since the left government in 2007. Here lies the big lesson. What a name, what a spelling.
Southwest PDP has again rolled out support for President Goodluck Jonathan as the candidate of the party for the 2015 presidential election. The party members turned out in the large number in Lagos to showcase the president and his achievements ahead the poll. Olajumoke Olatunji has more in this report.
Barely 2 months away from the 2015 general elections and with the just concluded party primaries nationwide, which have also produced party candidates for different political positions, the stage is set as Nigerians eagerly await the polls. With the ratification of President Goodluck Jonathan by 2,050 delegates at the recent National Convention of the PDP as the party's candidate for the February 14 presidential election, its leadership, members and supporters are again set to flow in the direction of its flag bearers. Against this backdrop, the Southwest PDP converged in Lagos to show their support for their candidate ahead next year's presidential election. Speaking at the occasion, one-time Attorney General and Minister of Justice Richard Akinjide stated while it is essentially necessary to support the Jonathan's ambition ahead the 2015 presidential election.
Categorically, by the grace of God, that our candidate Goodluck Jonathan will definitely win the next election. Essentially, only 2 candidates for the coming election. And number 1 is our own candidate, Goodluck Jonathan. And the other candidate is from the other weak party, who we all know very well. And I assure you, he's definitely not win the election. He will win the election.
A chieftain of the party in Lagos, Bode George, assures Jonathan's readiness to complete his work on the transformation of Nigeria.
President Jonathan is the first president who convoked a national conference that started as an elected, not military. You know, we military used to, by fiat, create constitution. This man had the nerves, the temerity, the conviction that there was need for us to discuss the Nigerian project. He started it. He did not at any point interfere with the process of that conference. He allowed us to discuss our nation, to discuss profound solutions to the problems of this country. And I can confidently tell you, because I was a delegate there, that for the first time I saw Nigerians of all shades and character, from the swampy forest to the savannah regions in the north, explain the problems and provide solutions to these problems.
Another PDP chieftain, Tanko Yakasai, absolved Jonathan of blame over the issue of insurgency and called for unity beyond political party lines in finding solutions to the issue.
Boko Haram came to the Nigerian scene way back in the year 2002. That was 3 years into General Obasanjo's presidential tenure, when he was elected in 1999. By 2002, General Obasanjo was 3 years in office. That was the time when Boko Haram started. Between that time to date, Boko Haram struck at different locations and different places, in particular the north, for more than 12 times. And the federal government has nothing to do with it. And indeed, no government will encourage insurgency against itself.
The summation of opinions at the gathering points in one direction. As agreed, the president like Jonathan is what Nigeria needs at this time of its development. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Lagos.
Finance Minister and Coordinated Minister of the Economy, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has presented the 2015 budget estimates to the National Assembly. She led the document separately in the two chambers without making any speech. The lawmakers adjourned to January 13 after receiving the 2015 pending plan. But before leaving the complex, the Finance Minister told journalists that the government is sticking with $65 per barrel benchmark in spite of the decline in oil prices.
This budget is based on a few key indicators: a $65 a barrel benchmark, and we are going to stick to it for now in spite of the declining prices, because we feel the average price next year will be around 65 to 70. The production level is 2.27 million barrels per day. We are expecting, we've revised the growth rate based on the new parameters for the country down from 6.35 to 5.5% next year, but that is still one of the fastest growth rates we're experiencing in the world today. We have a budget expenditure of about 4.3 trillion, revenues of 3.6 trillion. We've tried to make up for the drop from $78 a barrel to 65 by raising non-oil revenues. This budget points to the fact that this country is a non-oil country, and I think we want Nigerians to begin to think of the country in that way. So we have worked very hard with the guidance of Mr. President to move on non-oil revenue. So we have closed many loopholes and leakages. We've tried to broaden the tax base. We've speeded up audits. We've looked for everywhere. We've closed some exemptions. All of this will bring additional revenues into the coffers.
The Federal Executive Council has approved a number of contracts for road rehabilitation in several parts of the country at its last meeting in the year. It also endorsed the construction of an inland port in Benue State and a port berth in Lagos. Minister of Works Mike Onlememe and his transport counterpart Idris Umar briefed State House correspondents at the end of the meeting, presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan.
Income for the month of December is 543 billion and 88. We had some exchange gain because we are selling in dollars. Converting to naira, we have 6.130 billion gain. We have the 35 billion for Shwaki. We also have the special distribution of special distribution of 36.873 billion. The NNPC again this month gave us a refund. The money they owe the federal government for 6.330 billion. So the grand total for the month of December is 628 billion, 774 billion. This is what we have to be distributed among the three tiers of government.
Outside Nigeria now, Kenya lawmakers debated a controversial new security legislation that would crack down on terror suspects and curtail journalists' freedoms. The legislation, which was proposed after a string of attacks on Kenya by Somalia-based Shabab insurgents, includes proposals boosting the time police can hold terror suspects from the current 90 days to nearly a year, increasing sentences and giving investigators more powers to tap phones. Under the bill, journalists could face up to 3 years behind bars if their reports undermine investigations or security operations relating to terrorism, or if they publish images of terror victims without permission from the police. The reading of the bill was nearly inaudible during a raucous vote that included yelling and singing from opposition members. Recently, 9 Western countries, including the United States, Britain, Germany, and France, released a rare collective statement raising concerns over the bill. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta had, however, called on MPs to pass the bill in order to provide a new weapon against the country's security risks, notably the threat posed by Islamist militants. And that wraps it this hour on CoreTV News. Join us again at the top of the hour for more stories. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.